Hey everyone, it's Will, Gamer Dad, with another video for you. So this video will illustrate how to obtain both Violet's as well as Skull's personal weapons, and also how to get their personal Grasta, as well as actually obtaining Skull himself. Now if you haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe to my channel, I really appreciate it. Also, I do have a Patreon account for those who want to support me that way. So when you do go into Memento's dungeon for the very first time, you don't meet this particular box. It's only after the second time you go in. And so you see this mysterious monster, and once you show enough of those decayed thought leaves, so those are the currency or the points that you're gathering while going through this dungeon, both in hard or very hard, we get into some conversation about who this thing is. And I guess this person is trying to have some sort of self-discovery to find out what it is. It's almost like, for those who've done the Nameless Girl, I won't give any spoilers of that, but when you do take on the Nameless Girl, as you talk and do more of the another dungeons, that girl next to the dungeon door, she'll unlock some different dialogues, and if you do it enough times, then something special happens and it'll unlock some special feature of sorts. Anyways, at this point, I don't really understand what this monster really is. That being said, I decided to record the dialogue for you in the hopes that, if you sped through it, then you get a chance to kind of reread it and, for posterity's sake. Alright, so after the dungeon, after you talk to him, you do get a chance to find these kind of blurbs, or those red kind of swirling doors. And you do warp in, and you can take on different bosses, and each boss represents one mission. So they are linked to your points, so make sure you do run enough dungeons in order to get the points, either hard or very hard. Once you hit the point totals required, and I'm not sure how many points you really do need, you can actually meet these horrors in those swirling doors, either in very hard or hard. My recommendation, of course, is to run as many very hard keys, because then you can get through the content faster. Not to mention that as you're gathering points, you'll get more points in the very hard dungeon, and also you have an increased chance of getting your light or shadow for your 4 P5 characters. One other thing to note, you do get to access this even before finishing the side episode and obtaining Violet. However, as you can see later on in the video, I'm actually not sure whether or not that'd be the right way to do it. So my recommendation is to actually finish the entire episode and then come back to here. And later on, if you do watch through the entire video or near the end of the video, you'll see why. I may have exploited a glitch, which I might have to contact support on, and so hopefully not, but we'll see how it goes. Now in the case of this first few bosses, not too difficult. If you VC in Joker, it'll be more than enough. So after a number of battles, you do unlock the this mysterious box is now called the Thought Seeker, and so you have another short conversation of sorts, and it is learning more about itself. Although, like I said, I'm not really sure if this has any significance in the P5 world. So for those who do play P5R, let me know in the comments below if this Thought Seeker actually has a relevance in the game, since we are in Mementos, or is just something that another Eden created. Okay. So back to the these horrors that you have to take on. Now the easiest way to remember is the first 5 can be found in areas 1 and 2 of Mementos before you take the different paths to go increase light or shadow for the 4 P5 characters. Now for the 6th and 7th battles, you do have to go on the Joker path, and then for the 8th and 9th battles, you do have to go on the Morgana path. So keep that in mind, otherwise you'll be wasting an additional key and kind of wondering where the boss is to encounter. So you can see that you start off at the level 60s or so, and it rises to level 71. And you can see that the rewards are much better than before. I would say it's near the 7th battle, that is on Joker's side, of course, where the battle gets a little bit tougher. So this is still on the relatively easy side. So they still have weaknesses, as you can see. Most of them are weak to either Pierce or in some cases magic or some other things. And so, you know, even a one-turn VC is enough, as you can clearly see. That being said, I didn't show my Grasta setup, but I do have, his personal weapon, which is Togachev, the weapon, and you can obtain that obviously from the first P5 area. As well, I do have a bunch of Void Grastas. So for those who are new to the game, once you get to a certain point in the game, chapter 56 or so, you can actually farm for Grasta, which you can equip on your characters, and they essentially enhance different aspects of the character. I do have some back to basics videos on the basics of Grasta and what to do with them. And that being said, he has a lot of colorless Grasta in order to enhance his non-type damage. So essentially his triple burst weapon and his VC are both enhanced with those Grasta. And you can see the icons on him in the back, and they are from equipment. Now this is the first battle where we see some challenges here. They apply status effects, and they have significantly more HP than that one turn. So this is now the 7th battle. That being said, AoE magics do still work, although I do think that these contents are more geared towards having all P5 characters. So if you do have Violet, I believe some of these enemies would be weak to Slash, in which case you'd be better off than myself, where I only have the 2 characters and kind of rushing the content ahead of time in order to get Skull first. I actually really think Skull's cool, although I do like Violet as well. Never have played P5 before, but you know, hey, always willing to add more guaranteed 5 stars to my team. So you can see with a fairly powerful level 80 team and significant Grasta, as well as using Joker's VC, once we activate a large AF, it was enough to defeat it. Alright. So these ones are pretty easy still. Again, they do have some different weaknesses. So one is weak to Earth, one is weak to magic, and then you can just finish it off right here. So you can see it's weak to fire right there. And being that we do have both elements in, it's not going to be too difficult to end it here. That being said, again, their HP is a little bit stronger. I don't know what the strong pull did. It looks like it has a counter attack now, but we're going to be able to finish it this turn. And there you go. Now, some of these upcoming fights are much more challenging. Now, this one I think is one that really annoyed me. These ones all apply different status effects, and they also absorb attacks, so they actually aren't all vulnerable to the same thing. I believe one is weak to Slash, one is weak to Pierce, and one is weak to Blunt. And so again, if you have Pierce from Joker, Blunt from Morgana, and Slash from Violet, you will be able to end this battle relatively quickly. Also keep in mind that all P5 characters do have the once more special abilities, so that if they are weak, they do an additional attack or double the amount of attacks. Note that with the poison and the confusion, I mean, they do a lot of different things, and it's just not very fun to battle. Also, you can see number of AoEs, move locks, ugly. So I would highly recommend you getting Violet before coming in here. It'll make this battle, as well as the final battle, a lot easier than this. So I do apologize that it is taking a little bit long. If you do make it past 7 turns, the enemies won't have any more resistances and ability to absorb attacks. So at that point, they're going to be weak to all weapon type attacks, in which case you can just end it there. In this case, we're just going to do a large AF anyways and try to exploit the weaknesses of our one character, being that we do have our Pierce from ASZ, as well as a Blunt from Morgana. There you go, 2 done. And that one is weak to Slash, which we don't have here. I guess I could have brought in Joker and his Slash attack, which is a small fire attack, and being that the enemy is weak to it, you would have gotten 2 hits out of it. In this case, we're just going to finish it off here with just some minor attacks. We'll use Morgana's regular slash attack and just kind of hit it because it absorbs all other types. It is resistant to magic, so it's not too bad if you do use magic attacks. It won't absorb it, it will just deal less damage. I think this is the problem with rushing in without using any guides. It does get a little bit more challenging, but I don't really mind it any other way. If you want some more information on some of these fights, you can definitely go to the subreddit on Another Eden, and one of the users, I think that his name is Palo X, he definitely has a lot of great guides, and he's actually beaten a lot of the content in this, and hopefully I will be able to do the same in the next couple of days when I get a chance. Okay, so at this point, the enemy is weak to all weapon types, in which case we should be able to end this battle fairly quickly. And of course, it really helps if you bring some multi-hit attackers, both to boost AF as well as to do significant amount of damage. There you go, 1 Exquisite Blossom, all boosted, ended that particular fight. And that was fight 9. Remember that fights 8 and 9 both occur on the Morgana side of the final part of the dungeon, when you have to go towards that way in order to increase his shadow at a 20% chance for each red key or a 10% chance at each green key. Now this one is the tough one at the last fight. Note that this boss does have a 15 hit shield, and so even if the enemy is weak to it, and it is weak to all 3 weapon types, so slash, blood, and pierce, and definitely using P5 characters will exploit the attack, being that you double the number of hits with any P5 with the once more ability. And so with Violent Slash, you probably would have ended this battle much quicker. That being said, I mean, it is still weak to my Exquisite Blossom, and you do have Miracle Punch applying 2 guaranteed critical hits. Triple Burst, instead of having 3 hits, is now 6 hits. The problem with Joker is that his overall DPS is not that great for the Triple Burst. That being said, it does hit 8, and so the combo meter rises very quickly in that sense. And now we are at the 50% HP stopper. We cannot do any more damage than that. At this point, it's all about mitigating damage and building your AF bar as quickly as possible. And so having your frontline P5R units will definitely help. I still have Myris out there just for healing purposes. This is actually my second recording of this boss, and if you're wondering why, if you wait too long, it does some large AoE, about 3,000 or 4,000 unmitigated, and I basically died, and so I actually cut out that recording in order to redo it for your benefit. So don't be like me and leave the boss too long. I don't know how many turns that takes for it to do that 3 or 4k damage. We don't want to show you that, and we don't want to see it. I'm sure you don't want to all die and have it reset on you. However, if you must know, you can definitely watch a video and restart where you last left off. So it does allow you to do the restart even if you in this battle. Some battles do not allow that, of course. Conversely, you can pay 50 Chronostones in order to continue where you left off, but why not watch a movie? Save yourself the 50 Chronostones. Okay, so again, we have our frontline units doing multi-hits, especially Joker as well as Morgana. Exquisite Blossom has now punched through that shield and we're starting to do damage. One thing I forgot to mention, at this point when it had gone down to 50% HP, instead of having a 15 hit shield, you now have a 30 hit shield. So that shield icon, which is a kind of a honeycomb thing, that is the resistance shield, and you have to actually punch through that number of hits before you start dealing damage. And so if you're wondering why it didn't deal damage until now, a lot of the earlier hits had to damage the shield. Okay, anyways, we ended it off, and we get a nice P5R finish. Let's see who is the AF finisher. I think it's actually very random whether or not you get Morgana or Joker or one of the other two. In this case, Joker shows off his cool moves, does a nice little pose, and we have ended the boss. Nice. Not to mention the extra 5k Thought Leaf currency. So there you have it. And after you finish the 10th one, Skull's bond with you has gone stronger, and when you exit the dungeon, you will have him accessed as a level 60. So you can see I've equipped some equipment as well as his weapon that can help him grow in XP. Now finally, the turn after you finished that and gotten Skull, you come back in here, and now his name is Matthew. So not a mysterious thing or anything. He now gives you personal Grasta for Skull, and this is where I think I made a mistake. I'll have to let you guys know if this is going to work or not. If you have Violet here, you should actually obtain both Violet's as well as Skull's Grasta and weapon. In this case, I only have one because I only have one character. So I'm going to, after uploading this video, I'm going to actually grind through the rest of the story and go back to the dungeon afterwards in the hopes that Matthew here still is around to give me her Grasta for Violet and her personal weapons. And if you're wondering why I'm saying if he's still around, just keep on watching for a little bit longer. He's going to talk about his thing and kind of how he's discovered himself and has figured out what's all about himself. And after all this, he actually disappears. And so he's not even there in the dungeon anymore, which is why I'm really hoping that when I show up again, I'll just find her weapon and her Grasta on the ground. Anyways, I'm going to stop talking now and let you watch the rest of this sequence in peace. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.